So this is my first official video that I'm gonna put up, obviously, and I kind of wanted to break it into a couple of parts so you could get to know me and my situation. First things first, my name is Valerie. I'm 33 years old and I've been married to my husband for 3.5 years, most of which we have been trying to conceive. I'll go over the timeline a little bit and then I'll kind of go into the obstacles that we had. So first and foremost, we got married October 22nd, 2011, and shortly thereafter, around July of 2012, we moved out of state. And we had decided that I would go off birth control in September of 2012. And we would kind of just not prevent but not try and see what happened. My birthday is in February, so when my birthday came around, we decided to try on purpose. Now, a little bit of background as far as, I guess, medical history. When I was 17, I was put on birth control for irregular cycles. And at the time, that was the cure-all. My doctor put me on birth control, and again, I was 17, so I wasn't trying to have kids anytime soon, so I kind of just took it at that. I never really questioned, why was I not getting a cycle, what was going on. So I was on birth control almost that whole entire time. There were parts where I would get off of it, but for the most part, I was always on birth control, and I was regular on birth control. If I wasn't on anything at all, I could go years, months. I never had a typical 28-day cycle, not as long as I could remember. When I was younger, I never counted my cycle, tracked them, nothing like that. So as far as, before I was on the birth control, I have no idea. So because of that, I knew that we were gonna have issues. So I went to my regular OB in the new town that I moved to and said, listen, I've had irregular cycles most of my life. I want to try Clomid. So he said, okay. He handed me some Clomid, told me to start charting. That's basically it. Here you go. Call me and let me know if you're pregnant. Call me and let me know if you need more Clomid. So I ended up doing altogether, I ended up doing 8 cycles of Clomid. Now, that we started the first one end of March, early April of 2013, and I kind of knew where this was headed. So I made an appointment with an RE, and it's the only one near me, and he's about 30 minutes away. And so I made the appointment and I went in. He sat me down in his office. He literally flipped through copies of my charts just like a photo book. He shook my hand and then he asked me to go sit in another room. I thought we were going to talk about, I was going to have some kind of exam. He was going to ask me questions. He didn't. A few minutes later, the financial lady came in asking me for my check and, when did I want to proceed? And that was just way too much, way too fast. He didn't examine me. He didn't ask me any questions. And that really turned me off because I felt like he does this every single day, but this is trying to have a child. This is a big deal to me. I don't do this every day. So, with that, I didn't really do anything. That was November of 2013. I tried some stuff that I found online. I started taking Vitex. I took that from, November to I think May. And I took Vitex. I drank all kinds of red raspberry leaf tea. Basically anything that I could find online that would help. I got soft cups, I got pre-seed, I took whatever the generic name for Mucinex is. I did it all. Obviously nothing worked. So in June, I started on a food-based prenatal vitamin. And from June on, I got a cycle on my own. And I wasn't on the Clomid at this point. And I don't know if it was all those months of taking the Vitex and then coming off. I don't know if it was the vitamin, but needless to say, I keep on the same vitamin. So that summer, I finished up my last couple of rounds of Clomid, and my doctor basically said, look, this isn't going to work for you. So I had been in the hospital for something unrelated, and for my insurance purposes, I had met my deductible. So I called my OBGYN and I said, I want the HSG test. He didn't want to do it. I said, it'll be covered at 100%. I want it done. So I had that done in November of 2014. And I, ravaged the internet looking for experiences and what people thought, and was it going to be extremely painful or what to expect. It really wasn't that bad. It wasn't comfortable, but it wasn't that bad. I would do it again if I had to. So anyway, so I'm laying on the table and the radiologist comes in, and I kind of turn my head to look at the monitor, and it did not look like it was supposed to. And I looked at my doctor and I said, that's not a good sign, is it? And he said, no. So he basically told me, you have a septum. There's nothing else I can do for you. And I made an appointment at a new RE. So my new RE was about an hour and 45 minutes away. He was the only other one that was even relatively close to me. I'd done a lot of research on him because of my first bad experience. And I made that appointment for after the first of the year because my insurance changed. And he would then be covered after the first of the year. So I knew that I had the septum. I knew what that meant. I knew, second or third trimester loss. I knew of all the complications. But at that point, I didn't know, was it a teeny tiny septum? Was it big? I didn't know really what that meant. So I was still charting and still doing OPKs, and I got a positive. And so we decided, nothing's happened this far. Let's just kind of throw caution to the wind and see what happens. So I go to my appointment, and we talk about my septum, that I'll need surgery, which that's another part, I guess you could say. He wanted me to get an MRI, started me on different supplements, and the surgery had to be timed with certain cycle days. So we were trying to get that set up. So I left his office and kind of feeling good that I was going to get this taken care of and kind of be on my merry way. So I'm at home and I'm not getting my cycle. And I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm racking my brain, which is the funny part. I'm racking my brain thinking, oh my gosh, did I not ovulate? Like, what's going on? Ding dong. So I have two friends that I'll talk about a little bit later, but two friends that I text daily about this kind of stuff, and the one friend is like, hey stupid, why don't you take a test? And I'm like, oh, like maybe you're not getting your cycle because you're pregnant, duh. Well, I had a 88-cent test from Walmart, so I took it. Like, yeah, right, this is never gonna happen. So I took the test and set it on the counter, and I went in the other room, and kind of a while later I kind of forgot about it, and I went back in there and there was a line, and I was freaking out. So that was a happy and sad day, I guess you could say. That was around noon, and around 11 o'clock that night I started having brown spotting, which I know can be considered normal. but it quickly turned into bright red bleeding. And so I knew that I wasn't going to be pregnant for long. So, so I had my surgery. No. So I basically, they considered it to be just a chemical pregnancy, and there's no way to know whether my septum caused that or whether it was just, you know, one of those things. And I'll never know. But we did get pregnant on our own. So, the second thing that I want to talk about is I want to talk about my surgery. I had to have a hysteroscopy done to remove the septum, and it really wasn't that bad. My surgeon, my doctor, told me about the balloon ahead of time. He did the balloon catheter. He also put me on estrogen. I was only off work for like 10 days. The balloon inside my uterus was causing me hellacious cramps. So that was a little rough. But I got the catheter removed after a week, and he told me that we could try after one cycle. So I'm still currently waiting on that cycle to happen. So, but I should say that I do have a prescription for Provera, but I'm going out of town for work, and so I'm trying to starting to take it with what day that'll put me on my cycle. I don't want to waste it if I'm in Vegas. Obviously my husband won't be with me, so and I have pretty long cycles, so I don't want to waste it. So I'm trying to calculate that out just right. So that was my surgery. What else? So the next step for us is going to be IUI with injectables. My husband and I decided that we want to try 1 to 2 cycles on our own with the septum being removed, and if nothing comes of that, then we're going to do IUI with injectables. We have talked about IVF, and we do know that it's a pretty real possibility, but we're not ready to go there just yet. And we're just not ready to go there, and it's a lot emotionally, it's a lot financially, and it's a lot just medically, you know. Just if anybody, obviously if you're watching this, you're probably been watching other people's or been through it yourself, but it's just a lot of doctor's appointments, and it's just not something we're ready to do right this second. So one thing that I do want to talk about is having support. And having support for all these issues that you're going through, it's rough. It's really rough. And the reason that I wanted to make this channel in the first place was because when we started on this journey with all these obstacles, Clomid and temping and OPK and, you know, all the acronyms and all the things that you probably never really wanted to know, that you're kind of shoved into. And so I Googled everything, and I found a couple people on YouTube talking about these kind of issues and whatnot, but I would just scour the internet because that's all I had. And the friends that I have that have children, they haven't struggled. They have gotten pregnant really easily, and so they can't know what it's like. And as much as, you know, my really close friends and my family is there for me, they support me, they're constantly, you know, kind of asking for an update and what are you gonna do now and what does that mean? They don't get it. They can empathize, they can try to empathize, but they don't get it, and that's no fault of their own. You don't know what you don't know. I mean, basically. Most people don't even know we're going through this, which is one reason why it's kind of taken me over a year to actually film this video, basically. People in my real life don't know that this is going on, and it's really tough to deal with. Support wise, my husband is great. He does everything that he knows how to do, but again, there's a certain element he just doesn't understand. And I have two friends in particular that I text every single day. If 24 hours passes and we don't text, they both live in different states away from me, but it's very odd. And if you were to randomly just look at our text conversation and not kind of know that what subject we were talking about, you would probably think we were nuts. But we're constantly talking about, did you try this supplement? Or, you know, what's your temperature like today? And, you know, we send our charts back and forth, and, you know, what are you going to do? And what did they say is the best medicine for you to take? And we kind of just go back and forth. And that really, really helps a lot because we're living it. So it's 24 hours on our brain versus, you know, somebody who is maybe the best friend you ever had, but they're not going through it, so they can't understand it. Like I said, it's nothing that, you know, they're not trying to be there for you. I have a lot of people in my life who are very supportive of me, but talking to someone who gets it, it helps. It just helps. And that's the reason that I wanted to make this video, or this channel rather, is just because if there's one person that can say, hey, that's exactly what I am going through or I'm about to go through, and it can help them, then that's a win-win, because that's what happened with me. There's several ladies who I watch all the time, and I've, you know, reached out to about all of this, that I reached out to regarding all of these and surgeries and septums and procedures and whatnot. So having that support is really, really helpful. And this also is kind of serving, maybe this is wrong to say, but it's kind of serving like a little therapy session for me. There's some things that you just want to put into the world. You just want to put it out there. That's a little bit about me, my story, where we're going. I take a very long laundry list of supplements. If anybody would be interested in that, let me know. I could always do a video about that. I want to document what I can, for myself, to kind of hopefully to look back and say, can you believe we went through this? And first and foremost, to really help anyone or give somebody any kind of light on this whole situation. So I think I've made this long enough. So I'll see you guys later. My uterus